What's up, guys? It's Arlen from Pokedoki EDC, and I'm about to change the scales on my Atom from TRM, but I figured I'd give myself a little bit of time to answer a question that I had recently. Chris Harris over at CDH EDC on Instagram, this guy I go back and forth with a bunch, asked about comparison and contrast with some scale material. So I kind of want to just run through it because it wasn't originally apparent to me, but a lot of people haven't handled some different materials. You know, you got G10, pretty common, you know, aluminum, titanium, those are kind of the big common ones. And then you got things like linen micarta, you know, you got more of like a burlap micarta, you got G-Carta, and you even got Terotuf. So let's just kind of get into this, starting with the smoothest first, which is this micarta. I believe it's linen micarta on this TRM Neutron. You guys, as you can see, this is like the only thing that I'm not super in love with this knife is the scale material, and that is kind of the only real complaint anybody has about this thing. You can see though, it is very smooth. This is jet black micarta. It is a linen. If you can see on the cross where it's cut through, it's a very fine type of micarta, and I believe they polish theirs. You can probably get it a little bit more grippy if you sand it or hit it with a sandblaster, but you're not gonna have a ton of grip with this. It's really the only downside to this knife, in my opinion, is that micarta. And they do sell it in a G10, and the G10 is obviously way more grippy. But yeah, so linen micarta, pretty good. Not the grippiest, okay? This is my Atom in, again, red linen micarta. But for whatever reason, this has a little bit less polish in it. And you can see kind of the grain in that micarta. And because it has less polish in it, has a lot more grip, has a lot more purchase to it. Honestly, it's a lot better to use. This knife beats out this knife a lot. And one of the reasons is because of the handles, not just because of the material, because the material is basically the same, but more so because they're contoured. And it's a thicker knife. I got a bigger hand, so it kind of lends itself to being in my pocket more. Okay, but linen micarta, still a pretty smooth texture. Okay, so after linen micarta, we have this. Okay, this is your kind of run-of-the-mill micarta. It's what you'd expect to see on most knives. This is a Ace Biblio from Giant Mouse Knives. Okay, the one thing that I love about this knife is the micarta. It is contoured, and it has, if you guys can see that and hear that, it has great texture to it. Okay, it's one of the best things about these knives. You know, they came out with a titanium version of this knife, and to me, it kind of, I wasn't as interested in it because, honestly, one of the things that really does it for me on this knife is the micarta handles. Okay, really grippy. A lot of patina to them, which I think is kind of awesome. You can see like this one has a lot of patina down here by where I grab it. There's also some difference around the edges and stuff like that. Really solid. This stuff, even when it's wet, this particular micarta gives you great purchase. It's not burlap, I don't believe. I believe it's more just of a coarser thread count or a coarser threading than this linen micarta. The fabric that they use is just a little more porous, and that actually lends itself to being grippier. So, okay. Let's go to this one first. Okay, so this is a Para 3 in Terotuf scales from RC Blade Works. Okay, Terotuf is kind of the next step from this. It's kind of in between. You get this really great, almost distressed look, and it comes to you that way. You know, you don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to oil it. You don't have to do anything. It comes in this very distressed look. It's got great grip even when it's wet. It's a really solid knife even when it's wet. Doesn't really matter. You know, which would lend itself well if you had like a was it a 52 5200 steel, something that's a very, very high stainless steel. You could pair that and you would never have to worry about the knife getting wet. The only qualm I have with this is it does this thing where it kind of, it's great. I love it. It's grippy. It doesn't really bother me, but it does have a little bit of fraying on the edges. I think that's just the nature of the material, but as a byproduct of that, it doesn't look ragtag, but it has more of a rough look to it. If that's what you're into, that's awesome. It does not bother me one bit, so I keep it moving. I put these, I used to have G10 carbon fiber laminate scales on this one. That's how it came to me. And I got these skinny scales secondhand from RC Blade Works, and I haven't looked back. I have not changed the scales on this knife because they're just that good. Okay, so Terotuf, kind of in the middle. So linen that's been sanded, a burlap or a coarser micarta, Terotuf scales. Okay, this is just a G10, guys. Oh, that was not good. Let's try that again. Oof. Oof. Maybe use my middle finger. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So this is a G10. This is a skinny scale from, I'm going to butcher the name. Cerberus, I believe. Cerberus knives. Yeah. I actually got these on like a surprise drop. These are awesome. It is G10 though. It is G10, so it is as grippy as you make it. And, you know, I have a Yojimbo that's in Jade G10, and it's slick because I took all of the my fingers are not working today. I took all of the cross hatching off of it intentionally, just to kind of change the look of it. G10, guys, is tried and true. It works when it's wet, works when it's dry. Nothing really to say bad about it. But also it doesn't do some of the things that make micarta so cool. You know, if I hold this knife for 5 minutes, you know, you can see where my hand's been, you know what I mean? It kind of really gives it character. It gives the knife character. So if you're into that, you're not into uniformity, micarta is definitely the way to go. Okay, so a lot of people haven't really seen a whole lot of this. I think Wirtz Knives uses this, and TRM is actually where these are from. These are TRM Atom scales, and they are in G-Carta. G-Carta is a kind of a conglomeration between micarta and G10. It's made by GL Hansen. This stuff, guys, is super cool, and it is the best of both worlds. Hopefully I can get in that. You can kind of see the contouring. It's got that inset right there. I don't know if you can see it very well because it's kind of a hodgepodge of colors in there. It is contoured scaling, and it really gives you kind of the best of both worlds. It gives you that grip of the G10. It gives you that patina of the micarta. I mean, if I handle these for a couple minutes, put it on the knife, they get shades darker. That yellow pops out more, and it's just a really cool material. It's also kind of an expensive material, which is why you don't really see it on a lot of production knives. TRM obviously sells them. They sell them without the knife. And then you have, you know, custom makers that are using it now. But as far as grip goes, guys, you almost can't beat this G-Carta. It's right up there with that Giant Mouse. It's actually a little bit grippier than the Giant Mouse. I mean, if you hear compared to this, okay, this has got, it's smooth, and at the same time, it really catches your fingers. It's just really, really awesome material to use. So if you can get your hands on a set of these for your knife, like the Atom, because I'm not sure what other production models use G-Carta. If you can get your hands on a set, then by all means do. But a couple different options for you guys, okay? Again, what you choose to put on your knife is kind of up to you. I mean, it's all preference. You know, I like micarta because it does different things. I like micarta because it's not G10. I don't know. There's something about G10 that I'm not a huge fan of. I only have 2 knives that are in G10, and they're both jade, ironically. And the rest of my knives are either aluminum, titanium, or some variant of micarta. I'm not saying that one's better than the other. It's really a user preference, but there are varying levels. So you should know when you're buying a knife, hey, linen micarta, if it's linen, it's going to be smoother. It's not going to have a very, very rough texture. If it's just regular micarta, not burlap, not paper, is one that's really smooth. Paper and linen are both very smooth micartas. If it's just a regular micarta, then it's probably going to have a decent amount of purchase. It's probably going to be pretty grippy. If it's burlap micarta, it will be super grippy because burlap micarta is made from burlap. Terotuf, I don't really think there's a bad thing about it other than the fraying. That's, kind of par for the course with this stuff, but it gives it a really, really unique look that I think you just can't replicate with any other scale material. As far as what it is, I think it's kind of similar to a micarta. I'm not 100% sure on the process of it. You'd have to ask someone like Fireside or RC Blade Works, but it gives you a really cool product that is super unique. For whatever reason, people love this scale and this knife. And then this G-Carta, which is kind of the best of both worlds between that G10, which is super grippy, and that micarta, which gives you all kinds of character. But yep, I'm gonna swap these scales on this one. I figured I'd just throw a quick video up since Chris had that question. But yeah, let's do it again, guys. Have a good one.